Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are returning to the vlogs. I'm really excited to get back to vlogging. I've started to have more thoughts about my books and wanted to talk about them as I'm reading them, especially as I'm slowing down. Vlogs would not have worked in July for various reasons. I'm starting this a little bit early, so this first vlog is gonna be a little bit more than a week because I wanted to get in the 48-hour final book support group weekend, and that starts Saturday, but I'm gonna go ahead and start it at 7 tonight, which is midnight BST time, because Steph lives in England, so that's when it's technically starting. So I'm gonna run it from Friday at 7 to Sunday at 7. The books that I have planned, I am going to finish up what has been published so far in Mistborn Era 2, Shadows of Self, and Bands of Mourning, and eagerly anticipate The Lost Metal in November. I'm going to finish up Persepolis, which it's not a series necessarily, but it is basically a duology for this graphic novel memoir. These are actually on my TBR, but of course, because I'm super ambitious, I also want to get to the Alcatraz versus the Librarian books, and because they are middle grade, they'll read quicker. If I don't get to them this weekend, I'll get to them at the end of the month, hopefully, because I'm also doing Can't Believe-a-thon because I'm one of Gavin's Patreons. And then because I'm reading the Bands of Mourning and Shadows of Self, I'm going to read the parts in Arcanum Unbounded that you can read after you read these. So I'll keep up in that. So I'm considering that part of the final book support group. After the final book support group weekend, I'll talk about the different books that I'm reading for part of my classes for Magical Readathon. This one is for one of the classes. This is for one of the quests, but I'm going to go ahead and do that even though I haven't finished all my classes. This morning, I ended up not starting at 7 because I was finishing another book, reading it between heats of the CrossFit Games, watching that. So it took me a little bit longer. I started this, but my eyes were a little bit tired, so it was more difficult to read the style of graphic novel that this is. So I got only like 20 pages last night, so I'm officially starting this morning. So I read this morning before I went out for my run, and unfortunately, I didn't really like it that much. Apparently I can't hold it still. But I didn't really like it that much. It was fine. I was more motivated, not motivated, I was more engaged with her story in the first half, which was during the revolution. This is more after the revolution, when she goes to Austria, I believe, Vienna, for school, and it became very much like figuring things out and finding yourself, and that's just not typically what I necessarily find enjoyable. So it's fine. I got it read. It is what it is. I haven't obviously put it through Compile. And I'm changing up my TBR for the weekend just a little bit because I want to get some more pages in. And I'm going to read Lore Olympus 2, which will get me caught up on the series, at least what's published in hardback form. And I really like this, and it'll read very quickly, and then I will pick up the next Mistborn Era 2 book. Okay, so I forgot to mention that in between when I finished Persepolis, I ran 10 miles and got new shoes, and I just spent like half an hour or so reading Lore Olympus Volume 2, and I love it. The artwork is just gorgeous. I love everything about it. It's just so fantastic. I'm so glad I bought the special edition and cannot wait for the other volumes. So yeah, I did read an entire book in between those times, and now I'm ridiculously hungry, so I'm gonna go eat and then pick up the next Mistborn Era 2 book. Okay, so it is now Saturday evening, and I haven't been reading for a little while, but so far this weekend I read Persepolis Part 2, I read Lore Olympus Volume 2, caught up on finished and caught up on one series. And I am about halfway through, about 52% through Shadows of Self, which is book 2 in Mistborn Era 2. Now the thing about Mistborn Era 2 is that Alloy of Law is not technically the start of the trilogy. It's almost like a standalone story, like a bridge story between the two eras. So the things that it dealt with in Alloy of Law are separate to what Shadows of Self is building up. And I think because of that, I got into Alloy of Law a lot quicker than I'm getting into this. But that's not to say that I don't like it. It just, there's a lot of setup and a lot of building and investing in the world where, yes, I know about the world because I've read Mistborn Era 1. I've read Alloy of Law. So that part of the setup is not being done. But the whole thing that's going on with the new antagonist introduced, Bleeder the Kandra, who's doing something that she basically shouldn't be able to do. So that's interesting. I think right now if I just gut rated it, it would be a 4-star, like a low 4-star, but I still have the Sander Lynch to go and where things start making sense. So we'll see how this goes. I plan to finish this tomorrow. Hopefully also finish the 3rd book in the series, and then I'll be caught up until November. So that today has been successful reading wise, and I'm looking forward to finishing at least one more series tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to start Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians, the book 2, that part of the series. I think I'll save that for if I get other stuff done, just because I do want to carve out some time tomorrow for like prep stuff, because school starts back tomorrow. Now, not the students. I'm definitely not ready for that yet, but I go in for like regular teacher work days and figuring out this whole high school teaching thing. So did I say tomorrow? I was already thinking it was Sunday. Monday. But this blog will include a little bit of that, include a little bit of setting up the room and getting things figured out. So signing off for Saturday. Hey, so coming at you from the same location as last night, but it is now Sunday morning. I have just finished Shadows of Self, and my opinion of it has definitely gone up. I knew that Sanderson would put something in there that would be like, this time though? He waited until like the second to last chapter to put that in there, and wow, what he did in there, big, and the things that he is doing with Harmony. Okay, seriously? I am very intrigued in where he's gonna go from here. Now, this will probably be one of my lower ranked ones, just because there was a lot to get into it. I don't think I even enjoyed this as much as Well of Ascension, but I still really enjoyed it, and I like slowing down to go through this to figure it out. So I'm intrigued on where we're gonna go from here. I hope we get more of Steris than we did. She was kind of at the beginning and at the end. Very similar to Alloy of Law. Marasai is much more of a prominent character than Steris is, but I do like how Sanderson is putting more female characters into these Mistborn novels than he did in the first one. Going forward, I have to get things ready for the next week, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick up Bands of Mourning or if I'm gonna complete it. I'll probably will pick it up at least, but it's bigger than this. Nowhere near some of his other books. But if I don't end up picking up Bands of Mourning, I will probably pick up one of the Alcatraz books, which will read a little bit quicker and will get me some more pages. So haven't decided quite yet. So I promised that I did move today. I ended up going with Alcatraz and the Scrivener's Bones. I thought I was gonna finish it, but then I just decided when I got home I'm not gonna push myself to read more. I've actually decided to back off of my page goal. Originally I wanted to read like 120,000 pages for the year, so that's like 10,000 pages every month, and I like numbers, I like achieving things, but I realized just with the things that I want to, glasses are reflecting, just with the things that I want to achieve and focus on coming up into the school year, I just need to back off a bit. So I haven't finished that. I did finish a book today. Basically read a book today, it only was half of one and half of another. So I'll probably finish that tomorrow. I'm liking it. It's still got a lot of the same quirks and other things that the first book did, but it throws you into the story in a way that the first one didn't, because obviously the first one introduced you to the world and opened it up and introduced Alcatraz's character, and it also had his grandpa in it, but his grandfather isn't in this one, at least not yet. That's part of the whole deal with the book. So I'm still loving it, but there haven't been as many laugh out loud moments. So I'm hoping to get more of that towards the end of this book and then maybe in the other books. But that's what I'm thinking about it so far. Right now I'm working on my planner, getting that ready for the upcoming week back to school and getting things ready for that. So I'm gonna take you along with me. I don't know when I will film. Obviously it won't be around other people. Excited about next step in the year and bring you along with me. Quick recap on the Final Book Support Group 48-hour readathon. I finished 2 series, finished 1, caught up with everything that's been published in another, took a step forward in 1 series. It was like a middle book, so it wasn't a final book, and made progress in the second book in another series. So technically only finished 1 series, but everything I read this weekend got me further on in series and also got me closer to the goal of finishing Brandon Sanderson books. So I'm excited about that. Now I'm gonna shift into just like work stuff for the rest of the week. There won't be as many updates, obviously, because there is the Magical Readathon, but obviously there'll be like work and stuff to do. So I'm gonna get back to planning out my week. Good morning, coming to you with wet hair, fresh from a shower, and forgot a hair tie, so my hair is gonna be down all day. I said I was gonna bring you along with me and completely forgot my camera yesterday because I was rushing to get here. This is day 2 of Teacher Work Week. I actually got a lot done yesterday. So here's what I did. I'll turn you around so you can see. So obviously I got my No Drama Llama and Jay and Stan flag up. I got my desk set up. I actually got this little thingy from Walmart and it works really well. I got thumbtacks, pen holder, etc. So I got my desk set up, got the printer hooked up. I even got the Promethean board hooked up. That's big for me. I got the walls cleaned off because there was a lot of stuff there. So I got the actual Armenian flag over there. I got some posters put up above that whiteboard over there. No, I cannot hang things in a straight line, as you see by this one right here. And as you see by the map, which is clearly tilted, but hey, it's character. I had time to get the books on the shelves, and I actually have more shelf space somehow than I thought. Less books somehow, maybe, I don't know. I got them out and then realized, hey, that'd be great for my booktube channel to film me with my book part back here, so I'm gonna be doing that. And then a little bit later, I bought a bunch of posters, like geographic themes here. They're in this box, so I'm gonna put those up as well. And so that's what I've done so far. As far as reading goes, yesterday, I am about 230 pages through Alcatraz versus the Scrivener's Bones, and I decided to set that aside because I want to make sure that I can finish my TBR before I get to that. Plus I'll save it for Can't Believe-a-thon the last week of August. I also wasn't feeling like getting back to it. So the next thing I picked up was the graphic novel of Legend. And I read that yesterday. I was pretty tired yesterday, but that was easy to read. Unfortunately, I didn't really love it all that much. I love the story, but the adaptation of the graphic novel just lost so much. Like, all the nuance, gone. Talk about insta-love. Like, the decisions that Day and June make in that book, they make sense from the development that you have in the actual book. In the adaptation, there is zero development, none. It was fine, got it read. And then I started Howl's Moving Castle, but I read only about 30 pages or so. I'm intrigued so far. I like the fairy tale feel of it, like the fairy tale traditions. I'm gonna be working through that, but other than that, I don't have much to say on that. So I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna check my email so I know what our first meeting is, and then I might check in with you later today. Okay, so I've gotten a little bit done today. I've gotten posters added to the wall, as you can see. I've also made a file with like ledger size posters that are a little bit bigger, like historical maps, and I'm gonna put them over by the world map. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the books organized. I think the max organization I'm gonna do is roughly by genre, because I could keep them in order, but my students, if they ever pulled anything off the shelves, which they probably won't because they're books in a geography class, but I wanna have them there. But if they pull them off, they're not gonna put them back exactly where they found them, so I'm not gonna like alphabetize them or anything like that. I'm just gonna keep them by genre and maybe make little labels to go in there to help myself out. I'm not gonna turn the volume off for this B-roll because I'm listening on my Shocks to a podcast. So here we go, setting up the bookshelves. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these are my books in Spanish. I'm gonna probably just keep them here on this shelf that I have them and keep them all together. I'm not gonna separate those by genre.
I've been out of my head, can't get out of bed, too much on my brain, but
okay, so the first ones that I'm gonna put here are the graphic novels, and then I'll probably just go in order across, which is contemporary, historical, fantasy, and sci-fi.
I got it good, can't complain. It's like I'm losing my mind, and time's hard to find. What's a girl gotta do to catch a break up? When life tries to test me, I take it one day at a time. 'Cause I was crying yesterday, but look at me today. It has been so long since I wrote a sad song. Sunshine on my face, I'm feeling okay. Nothing's in my way. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I put a dress on today, I don't care what you say, and I'm ignoring my phone, so don't try to read.
So from left to right, we start with graphic novels, go through contemporary, a little bit contemporary on this middle shelf, then into historical fiction, and then I have only 3 nonfiction, and then I start fantasy, come through here, have Spanish. No, for now, I'm gonna keep those right there, but I'm gonna look at my shelves at home and see what read over the summer that I can bring in, and then maybe shift those fantasy, maybe shift the Spanish over there and keep the rest of the fantasy there. The classroom is pretty much set up. I'm probably gonna use this bulletin board for student work whenever I make it, and I love the fact that I have another whiteboard over there. For being at a new school, new curriculum, new stuff, my room's pretty much set up. All I have to do is add the maps that I made today over there, and there we go. So I'm coming at you from Wednesday afternoon. I didn't update about reading yesterday. I did update about at the school. Since then, I have read about 120-ish pages of Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm really enjoying it. I will say, like, it just has this fairy tale lightheartedness and a little bit of whimsy that, you know, for a book that's supposed to be a cozy read, this fits exactly. I will say, it's kind of like, why did Sophie get punished in the first place? Reading through, it's like she seems like this, okay, sure, I'll do that. And the one time she gets a backbone, the witch of the witch is like, bah, you were mean to me, so I'm going to curse you. Anyway, the characters themselves, there are things that are just sort of just have these little quirks and things that you haven't figured out yet. And there's parts that I really, really like, but there's parts that are just kind of like, okay, great. I don't think this is gonna be like super high rated, but it's definitely something that I enjoy. I don't know how much time I'll have to read today because I do have life group later, brisket cookout, and I've got 250 pages left, so I probably will finish this tomorrow. So definitely slowing down the pace because it had been a book a day. Can't get to that with this size books, but I'm really enjoying it. School seems to be going well. Haven't met the kids yet. I will actually meet a lot of them on Friday because the class that I teach is freshmen. Freshmen get to come in and go around to all of their different classes. So I'll meet a lot of them on Friday. So they're gonna come in. There's in the morning for certain parts of the alphabet and afternoon for other parts of the alphabet, and they're gonna go around to their different classes. So we've almost gotten to the end of the week. It's Thursday. I'm gonna meet some of my students tomorrow. That's the freshman orientation. And I have been slowly moving my way through Howl's Moving Castle. I have less than 90 pages left, so I do plan to read a little bit more tonight. I do plan to finish that tonight and hopefully read a lot more this weekend so I can stay on track with my TBR, meeting my goals for Magical Readathon, and maybe get into a book that excites me a little bit more. Not that I'm not liking Howl's Moving Castle, I just feel about it. None of the characters really engage me. It feels episodic, like things are just happening. I don't see a comprehensive plot. It's almost like Diana Wynne Jones just set out with the story and the setup, and it's like, okay, what could possibly happen next? Let's throw an animated scarecrow. Let's throw Howl covered in green slime. And like, how are we dealing with this? Let's have Sophie cut out little triangles from a suit for a reason I don't even remember. Definitely not my highest rated, but I'm not disliking my read of it. Before I end this clip, I'm gonna do a little bit of unboxing. I believe this is book 5 in the Alcatraz series, but I may be wrong because I thought that was coming out September. Because I have the pre-orders with the new covers. It might be another one of my pre-orders, but I'm gonna unbox this. And then I'm also gonna mention that because I'm doing the really big, really cheap book sale vlog this weekend, I probably will end this vlog on Saturday. I'm covering up my address. These look like they have nice perforation. It never ends up really working like that. Didn't work very well. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. So the 5th book, Enter the Song, does not come out until September. At least the reissue with the new cover. Something I was really excited about that I opened up yesterday, didn't vlog it, or maybe it was Tuesday. And that's one that I'm really excited about, and that's Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. This was a pre-order from Amazon. I forgot when I made a bookshop.org order that I'd already pre-ordered it from Amazon, so now I have 2 copies. It's a good thing I really love that book. I haven't read the graphic novel version, but I was thinking I'll read it and take it into my classroom. Now I don't have to make that decision. So we have made it to the end of the week. This was not what I was wearing earlier. I was wearing a shirt with my school name on it because the freshmen were coming in for orientation. So I met a lot of my students. It was really quick, 5 minutes-ish, doing a bunch of spiel. The kids didn't have to be there. Most of them, their parents brought them, made them come. So this is what it is. I did a lot of work on getting my curriculum ready, my PowerPoint and the notes and stuff for the kids. I still actually have a little bit to do. That's one of the things that I will have to spend more time on because it's a new curriculum, just taking things and tweaking them instead of sort of putting my own spin on this. I think what I'm going to end up doing, and I talked to my PLC lead who's in the classroom next door to me. I'm just going to take, because she shared all her materials. She's awesome. I'm just going to take her stuff and tweak it for what I need for like a lot of the resources and assessments and etc. And that's what a lot of the work is, because I could just like make the thing for them, but how I like to have them take notes is different, etc. So I actually am almost done with the first unit, but I have to tweak a couple things on a PowerPoint because I have one honors class and then one CP, like college prep, like the quote unquote regular class. Just one little tweak there. I'm keeping their notes and stuff the same between CP and honors. I won't have a distinction next semester just because it's my first time working with these kids. We'll see what honors ends up being like. I just realized that in my mind when I was talking to my fourth block in the afternoon, because they split it between morning and afternoon, in my mind I was splitting between first and second semester, and I don't have honors last block. Anyway, lots of school stuff. Actually, at a point, I know yesterday I said I was gonna finish Howl's Moving Castle. At a point yesterday as I'm working through stuff, I was kind of like, I don't really feel like doing this. But I did end up finishing that other stuff and then finishing Howl's Moving Castle. And the prompt that this filled was a cozy read. And that's what it ended up being. A lot of how things were resolved, I just kind of looked at and went, wait, what? It was kind of like, oh, I threw this problem in and we need to resolve it. And here you go. But I didn't dislike the book. It's weird. I don't actually know how I want to describe this. None of the characters felt really developed. They felt like fairy tale characters with no depth, which basically this book is a fairy tale, sort of. I enjoyed it. I don't know whether or not I'm going to keep it. We shall see. I'm glad now, because this is so well known, I'm glad that I've read it, because there's been some references to Howl's Moving Castle in some videos I've watched since finishing this. And I'm like, oh, I get that now. I get that reference. I just don't know that necessarily that I need to hold on to this book. So after I have some exercises and 20 minutes on the bike. After that, I'm going to pick up Unraveling by Karen Lord. It fulfills a prompt in the same... No, it's a different class. This is one featuring the colors of your country. I'm doing the blue and the yellow because it could be, you know, those two. Although technically it could be two of the American flag and not the Armenian flag. So I'm counting this for that. So this is my first Karen Lord book and I have no idea what I'm in store for. So it's not that much later, but I have a reading update. A sad one. I think I have enough guild points to do this. If not, I'll find another book. But I'm DNFing Unraveling by Karen Lord. I tried. I really tried. I got 33 books. I got 33 pages into it and I have no idea what happened. Not a clue what happened. I know who the main characters are. Like the opening chapter was really intrigued. It opens up with this guy named Chance who was immortal but then was unraveled and is now mortal, now a human. He was having a conversation with his mother. And he's working for this woman who is very mortal, lives in the real world, I guess. Then you get a chapter with her, Miranda. I believe that Chance and Miranda are the main characters of the book. Miranda is a forensic therapist. Although in that chapter you think she's like a lawyer or something. And she'd just gone out to celebrate putting somebody behind bars. It's supposed to be a serial killer or something. That chapter ends with her looking over, meeting the gaze of someone who looks exactly like her, who smiles at her and then walks in front of a bus. So I was intrigued. But then you get to the part where Chance and Miranda not meet because they've already met. He's been working for her. But she's like whisked away to this place. Their time doesn't exist. And things get so... And I'm not spoiling anything because that was in the synopsis. It gets so confusing. Like I expected the whole I saw someone who looked exactly like me who just walked in front of a bus to get addressed. Hasn't gotten addressed. Maybe will later. But just things would change, and I'm reading something, and then something changes, and there's labyrinths, and there's things that aren't real, and there's angels, and I'm not doing a great job explaining how confused I was because, well, I was confused. But now that means I'm going to go tally up my guild points from the spring semester, and if you have enough guild points, one of the tiers is you can DNF a book and still have it count. And I was going to just go, oh man, and move on to the Poppy War. So I walked out and got my Kindle. Dead as a doornail. No juice whatsoever. I'm gonna go work on videos instead while it charges, and then come back and start the Poppy War. Hopefully I'll have more success with that. So we've reached Saturday evening. I just finished the Poppy War, which will be the last book for this vlog. I didn't update it all while I was reading it because I started it, I think I started it today. No, I started it last night, I think. But I had to charge my, I almost said Chromebook. I had to charge my Kindle because it was dead, like I mentioned. And my thoughts when I started it were that it was reading very YA, which surprised me because I know from everything that people have talked about and said about it that it gets really dark. And I think this is as close to grimdark as I've gotten. I don't know if Poppy War is considered grimdark. I could see that potentially it would go deeper and that it was reading as YA because Rin was very young and it was dealing with those sorts of YA protagonists deal with around that time or age group. My words are not flowing right now. I knew that it probably would get darker. It definitely got darker. And as I got into when they're really getting into the battle and the war part, I realized that military fantasy, not my deal. I probably could have predicted that just because like when I read historical books, ones that talk about battle plans and war stuff typically is not my favorite. Then Rin starts making these decisions that you know are going to lead her down a very dark path. Everything in you screams at her, don't do this. Do it, Jinx. Advising. Learn. Grow. Do better. She's an incredibly frustrating character. I understand her. I understand the decisions that she makes, the reasons that she makes them, etc. And I think this is a well-written book and probably a well-written trilogy, and there's a reason that people love it. I'm just not one of those people. I think it'll still get a fairly good rating from me, but this is not going to be a series that I continue in, unfortunately. I'm glad that I tried it out and I'm learning more about my fantasy tastes. Kind of a lackluster note to end the vlog on, but overall, I read a lot of books and enjoyed them. I had the books that I wrapped up in the first part of this vlog for the Final Book Support Group 48-hour session. And then throughout this week, I didn't read that much, but I did read Legend, the graphic novel, and I read Howl's Moving Castle, and then I just finished the Poppy War. So I haven't decided what I'm going to read next, but I'll talk about that when I open up next week's vlog, which I probably will start tomorrow anyway. This was a fantastic return to vlogging. I'm getting back into the swing of things and school starts on Monday, so that should be fun. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.